So this presentation covers Chapter 2, Nutrients, Ingestion to Energy Metabolism. And like Chapter 1, much of Chapter 2 is likely a review of information you may have learned in your general nutrition course. However, reviewing metabolism, the three energy systems, and how they produce ATP for athletic performance is of particular importance for this course. Now, the Chapter 2 learning outcomes are as follows. You need to know what happens to nutrients after they are ingested, understand how carbs, fats, and protein are digested, absorbed, transported, and assimilated in the body, define energy metabolism and why it is important, know the definition of energy, understand how cells make ATP, and discuss the three energy systems and how they work together to supply ATP. Now, in order to keep this week's information to a manageable length, the process of digestion and how carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are digested will be bypassed. And since most of you have had basic nutrition, according to the survey that I provided on the website, this should be a review to you. So please read this section of the chapter and review these processes. And for the purposes of this presentation, we'll focus on energy metabolism. The three energy systems will be covered in a separate video. So every living thing has to continually take in and break down food to keep supplying itself with the resources it needs to survive. And all this activity depends on energy, which is what gives cells, muscles, and other tissues throughout the body the capacity to do work. But how do our bodies convert the foods we eat into energy? And the answer to this question is an ongoing series of reactions collectively called metabolism. This is probably not new to any of you. But sometimes metabolism will be referred to as a single act that occurs in your body at a certain time of day, but it's not. Have you ever heard an ad say to boost your metabolism in a day by taking a particular supplement? Well, metabolism doesn't work this way. It's not just one thing you can magically manipulate with a special herbal tea or a pill overnight. So again, metabolism is constantly happening in your body, and if it were not, you would not be alive. So, metabolism is a key part of the foundation of sport nutrition, and it describes every single biochemical reaction that happens in your body. As an athlete or even someone who performs regular physical activity, it's important to understand the basics of metabolism. Now, for athletes, knowledge of metabolism can help with developing a training plan, an eating schedule, off-season monitoring of body composition, and weight loss or gain to improve health and or performance. So the graphic that you see on this slide is the same as figure 2.18 in your textbook. You can see in the top half the process of catabolism. So for example, the breaking down of proteins into amino acids, carbohydrates into simple sugars, and fats into fatty acids are catabolic processes that release energy. Anabolic processes, in contrast, use energy to build intricate structures or specific molecules, such as when cells use amino acids to make complex proteins. Since your body always needs energy and also always needs to replace worn out things like proteins, cell membranes, your metabolism is never ending. Your body is always breaking up and rebuilding things. So for athletes who are concerned about gaining or maintaining muscle mass, eating at regular intervals throughout the day will allow them to avoid prolonged periods of calorie deficiencies that can result in catabolism, leading to loss of skeletal muscle mass. When an athlete does not have enough glucose available in their body, the body will actually speed the breakdown of muscle proteins to provide the non-carbohydrate precursors, such as amino acids, required to synthesize the needed glucose, leading to it reduces your lean body mass, something most athletes try to avoid. Now, to build muscle mass and lean tissue, anabolism is important since this is the process of synthesizing protein, fat, and glycogen. In order to build muscle in the body and increase the proportion of lean tissue to fat tissue, both athletes and the recreational exerciser should consume adequate calories to prevent catabolic processes from exceeding anabolic processes over the course of the day, while performing activities that promote muscle growth, such as resistance training. Now, depending on the athlete's needs, sports nutritionists may recommend small meals be eaten across the course of the day so adequate calories are ingested. Now, this slide provides a brief visual summary of the two processes that make up the ongoing process of metabolism. Feel free to pause the presentation here and read these if you would like. So now that we've reviewed metabolism, we'll move on to how energy is actually made available for the body to use. We know from the law of conservation of energy that energy is neither created nor destroyed, and that metabolism involves conversions of energy. Chemical energy, for example, can change into heat energy, which explains why muscles warm up during exercise. Now, chemical energy is stored within bonds between atoms of molecules. When these bonds are broken, energy is released and can be used to perform work. Even though it may seem logical, chemical energy that's in carbs, fats, and proteins can't directly provide energy for our cells. The energy has to be converted to a different high energy molecule called ATP or adenosine triphosphate. And when the bonds of ATP are broken, the energy released is the usable form of energy for our cells to perform biological work. The way I like to think about ATP is in this way. Think of glucose and fatty acids, or the energy substrates, as a gold brick. If you took it into a coffee shop, you could not buy anything with it, even though it's very valuable. ATP, however, is like dollars and coins. It's the energy that your body is actually able to spend. So, how does our body form usable ATP? The body does this through three energy systems: two anaerobic systems, meaning they don't require oxygen. These are the phosphagen system and glycolysis, and one system that does require oxygen, known as the aerobic system. These systems differ in the speed at which they replenish ATP for use by cells, and they provide overlapping coverage to replenish ATP over the short, medium, and long terms. One physical activity may depend more heavily on a certain energy system, but in general they'll always overlap.